What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for December 28th, 2020. And before we get started, if this is your first week in review, it's basically a video that I put out every Monday that takes all of the official Star Citizen news, piles it into one video, and inserts my opinions in there as well. And as always, I know you guys hate this stuff, but make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, because it really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. We're still a growing channel, and yeah, appreciate any of the support. So moving right into the video, patch notes updates. We had 3 patches this week, 2 PTUs, and a live hotfix update, where we started out with 3.12.0 on the PTU, and it was a small patch which fixed an issue where you can collect refined ore from a refinery job multiple times. But newsflash, even in the live patch, that's not fixed. Space Cutlet is a billionaire on live. I watched him do it, and it's not good. There was also some widescreen fixes for Star Marine and Arena Commander. Then moving on to 3.12p on the PTU. The only thing that they fixed here was one bug, but this bug has been here for years. So seeing this one gone is a big one, and that is the canopy bug. So where your canopy is constantly opening and closing, you lose MFDs sometimes. Certain ships, you can't see anything. It's a big mess. And they appear to have fixed it, even in the live patch, and I do think that they were really trying to push for this one before they pushed it live. So now we have 3.12a on the live patch, and they were working really hard on these PTUs, making sure they really nailed them down, and then pushed out 3.12a to the live servers, which is what we're currently playing on as of the recording of this video. And the thing that sticks out in that patch notes, because most of that was a culmination of other patches that we've discussed already on the show, is that the North Rock bounty missions have gotten their proper update now. We discussed it last week, but the update didn't actually make it in. It was in the notes, but not in the actual build. So now the North Rock missions are 3 bounties around 1 moon, pretty easy, pretty quick, and they offer, I think they're 26,000 credits as a reward. This is sick. So like PvE missions are alive and well in this patch, and not only that, but that is the entry level North Rock bounty mission, and you can gain rep to get it up to 61,000 credits per mission. So again, PvE missions are alive and well, and I've had a lot of fun playing them in the last couple days here. So really, really cool. Make sure you guys check those out if you have not yet. Moving on to roadmap updates, this is a big one. So Roadmap Roundup detailed the new roadmap that came out to Star Citizen this week, and that was the progress tracker view. And the goal of this was to basically show a snapshot of what they're working on now. The thing is, though, is that they're showing tasks that might start in Q4 2021. And then they warn us that they're subject to change. And it's like, are we doing the definition of insanity thing, where we're expecting different results by doing the same thing? Like, I'm not sure this resolves issues from the previous roadmaps, where I thought that was the point of this. I believe that we should just see what's prioritized now. What they're working on in 3.13, I should say. What they're working on for 3.13, and maybe use Roadmap Roundup and other community tools to tell us why. In a perfect world, how I see it is like this. Progress View shows the who and the what. Roadmap Roundup shows the why, and ISC and SCL show the how. So Progress View shows who's working on things, what they're working on. Roadmap Roundup tells us why they're prioritizing those things over maybe your favorite feature, and ISC and SCL will show you the actual game development and how they're doing it. And I think that might be the perfect way to educate their community on how this process works in the best way without causing harm, where I think they still could possibly be causing a lot of anxiety and animosity through sharing goals instead of real possibilities. The next line here is that the core tech group is missing from the current roadmap, which is the team and teams that are working on things like iCache, server meshing, the Gen 12 renderer. These are major pillars for Star Citizen to become a reality. We will see that on the roadmap early next year. So we don't have to wait too long, but that is coming very soon. And they're going to be updating it less often. It's going to be hopefully every other week, and that's totally understandable. There is a massive amount of information here, and yeah, it's going to take time to update, and yeah, I'm totally fine with that. I'm sure you guys are too. Release view is very interesting. They're only showing 3.13 for now, but again, they want to show the rest of the year, and I think their plan is to like gray out things that aren't in the next release to show you guys that it's like, this isn't quite ready and it might not make it in, but we're still going to show it. And it's like, I don't know. I think it just will subsequently create massive letdowns when things that people are excited for get removed. Example, salvage. That is undoubtedly going to end up on the roadmap, and it is undoubtedly going to move again. And when it does, what's going to happen, right? People are going to rage. And it's just like, when are we going to learn? When are we going to learn from this one? I think the idea of the progress tracker view is amazing. I think combining that with the one patch, 3.13, once 3.13 comes out, show 3.14, and keep going and going that way. And I think it'll be a lot better situation for everyone in the community. Let me know what you guys think. I only want to see the next thing. What do you guys want to see? Now, speaking of that next thing, 3.13, we now see what they're planning on releasing in it. And I'm going to go line by line real quick and share. So in the locations tab, we have refinery station overlay updates, which is just like small changes to make them look and have more variety. They're going to continue to update the planets. They updated a few in 3.12. They're going to finish that update in 3.13. New asteroids, just kind of adding more variety to the asteroids in 3.13 from what we've had in previous patches. For gameplay, force reactions are going to be continued to be added in multiple situations. So this is seemingly like fixing and expanding on what we currently have in 3.12 for it. Missile rework. They're going to make the IFCS system work with the missiles now, and this is just them continuing to update missiles, and hopefully they continue to get better. The updates up to date have been quite good. Vehicle names and serial numbers, I think this is pretty cool. They're going to be custom player names, so we're going to name our ships. All other ships like NPCs are going to have serial numbers, and for me, this is just bringing like sci-fi immersion to Star Citizen even more. Like, let's give examples like The Expanse. You know, when you call somebody, you're calling the Rossi. You're not calling James Holden necessarily, right? You're typically calling you're hailing the ship. You're not hailing the pilot. Visual degradation and for ships and vehicles. This isn't what I would label gameplay necessarily, but it is a nice immersive feature. CIG's bread and butter. Then for things that are actually gameplay, hacking tech looks really interesting. They're going to be developing a hacking minigame, and this kind of ties into that door jam sneak peek that we saw last week. So this is exciting. I'm very curious to see what this brings in 3.13, if it's going to bring any missions with it, so on and so forth. Some really big stuff here. Merlin to Connie docking. So ship-to-ship docking, the first iteration of that. This is huge. Very, very excited for this and what it can bring in the future. I'm sure it'll have its issues. I'm sure it will feel really amazing at times as well, and I can't wait to try it out. Missile operator mode. Still not quite sure what this entails, what this means. I assume there'll be an ISC feature on it, and I am looking forward to figuring it out and discussing with you guys what missile operator mode will bring to Star Citizen. Surrender. I don't see much of a point in this unless something major changes, and that major thing I assume would have to be the punishment would be much less severe if you went to jail after surrendering. Because if it's not, why wouldn't you just fight to the death? Because you have a chance of getting away at least and surviving. When you surrender, there is a 0% chance that you get away, right? So it doesn't make sense unless they have less severe penalties for surrendering. And then finally, for the gameplay section, ship to station docking. And this is really exciting from an immersion standpoint. There's also clear blockers. This is a clearing of a blocker for the Hull series ships as well, which is pretty cool. For ships in 3.12 or 3.13, sorry, Crusader M2 and C2 Hercules Starlifters are coming to 3.13. I don't know what it is about the ship, the silhouette, something. I'm obsessed with it. I think it's awesome, and it's good because it's a cargo ship. Cargo gameplay is kind of in the game, whereas like something like the Reclaimer is sort of a disappointing ship because you can't use it, right? Then for guns, instead of having any FPS weapons so far on the roadmap, there are none, but they're going to be mounted guns. So this is like something new and exciting. I'm not sure how we're going to be able to take advantage of them, if they're static or if we can move them and plant them in certain places. We'll have to see in the future. And then for core tech, converting legacy data management to iCache. I cannot tell if this means iCache is active and functioning in 3.13, but this is clearly a big and important task. There's also massive knock-on effects, negative knock-on effects for the community. People are saying that this will affect websites like Urkel and I think loadout.io or something like that, where people, go to kind of configure their ships because we don't have the information in game to understand how to. So basically, this change might make data mining impossible. So we'll have to see what happens, and if this does happen, we'll have to really kind of push CIG to prioritize UI updates in the game to share that information to us so we can make those decisions. We did not have any video updates this week because of the holidays. Totally understandable. Looking forward to seeing what new content they bring in the new year. Every year they like to iterate on their shows, and I'm excited to see what Lando can provide this year. I thought last year was one of the best years for Star Citizen video updates. I think SCL is not my favorite. I think there's a lot of throwaway episodes there, but you can't beat ISC and the return of Calling All Devs. It was very, very good. For other updates this week, we're going to start out with the assault on Stanton. They rolled out a pretty cool video on IGN, so check that out.
Attention, people of Stanton.
Attention, this is a CDF call to action for the Stanton. There was a request of the UAE Navy.
We are the ones in charge. We are Xeno threat.
This was pretty cool. It's hard to tell what the event will entail from the video other than a lot of combat with big ships. But then the very next day, Zyloh made a post telling us it was delayed. Very, very CIG of them to dangle it out there and then take it away. But hey, for me, I think the timing is really great because there's still a lot of content I want to play and get through in 3.12. And when that gets stale, hopefully Assault on Stanton will be ready to go, and we kind of revitalizes 3.12. There was also a lore post about Luminelia, their kind of holiday event in Star Citizen, and we also had a new roadmap FAQ, which this post basically outlines what we discussed in Roadmap Roundup, but there's a few other additional things that they highlighted there, so link will be in the description for you guys to check that out. Next is the big one, the letter from the chairman. Most of it was just the usual, thanks for the money, guys. We have a great community, as always, stuff like that. He also copy-pasted the roadmap roundup into this to talk about the roadmap. But the big kind of things that I want to touch on here is when he talked about Squadron 42, which is essentially delayed again, and they said they have no plan to release it until it's completely done and polished. And then they referenced kind of big AAA games that people were excited for, that had rocky releases, and that he doesn't have to push things out early, and he's not going to do that to us, guys. So I think that that's a positive thing. Obviously, there's a lot of people that have been waiting for the game and really want to play it. So that's clearly a negative. But in the end, I think this is going to be for the better, right? I think long term, if Squadron 42 does not release really polished and really good, and it gets really positive reviews, it's going to have really negative effects on Star Citizen and its future. So for me, putting it off and making sure it's good is really important. Now, the negative here for me is that they said they're no longer going to really be providing communication. Well, this isn't a negative. I take it back. He said that they're no longer going to be really doing the briefing room. And they're going to continue to show the roadmap with Squadron 42 and continue to add more stuff from Squadron 42 on the roadmap, as well as the monthly reports, which I think is plenty as far as Squadron 42 is concerned. And yeah, I'm totally fine with the amount of updates there. I am not surprised, I should say, that the briefing room is no longer, and the reason why is because it was just kind of a crappy SCL episode with a random feature that nobody cared about. Nobody cared about this place, and nobody cared about the interrupt tech. They wanted to know the status of Squadron 42, and I think the new roadmap is going to do a better job of that than anything. Then he talked about player engagement. There were a ton of new players playing the game in 2020 and brought new money with them. They attribute the fact that they've made so much money to their playable now narrative from their marketing team. And for me, that's exactly what it is. It's a narrative, and it's not so much the reality of things. And I take issue with the fact that members of this community and seemingly members of CIG, when the going is good, it's a live service and it's a playable experience. And when the going is not so good and the community is upset about something, it's an alpha, guys. Relax. And it can't be both. It can be both, but it needs to be marketed as both, and it just isn't. So I don't think they're lying to you. I don't think that they're being necessarily malicious, but the narratives are very interesting. And honestly, for me, the more people that buy ships in the game, the better chance we have to have a great game. So be it, I guess. This is the big thing. This one was really cool. Is they had a 70% increase in playtime, but only 35% more players playing. So this means more people are enjoying the game and playing longer sessions. That is a direct result of them focusing on quality of life and the player experience. And that has absolutely improved this year. With that said, he touches on this and kind of calls out people like myself, older backers who think the game's incredibly buggy still and complain about it, is that it's not that bad, guys. And he says it because players are playing longer sessions, therefore there's less 30Ks and so on and so forth. While that may be true, that is not the actual issue. The issue is that the game is better, right? So because the game is better, but these bugs still exist. Like, look at this cockpit bug. We've had it since, I think, 2018. The bugs are more painful and have a larger effect on the player when the game actually wants to, like, when you actually have a reason to play the game, right? There's progression within missions now. We can progress towards earning spaceships in game, so on and so forth. There's reasons to play Star Citizen, and the bugs create more painful experiences now than they ever have because of that. We touched way more on the letter for the chairman in Answer the Call. I did post that a little bit late. I apologize. So feel free to check that out if you guys haven't yet. It was a really good show, and especially the last call with a studio head at an indie studio, really explaining the roadmap, financials, and what it's like to be Chris Roberts. It was really, really eye-opening for me. Speaking of financials, they did post their 2019 financials. I'm not going to go into it too much. I'm going to leave the link in the description for you guys to check out if you want. But the one thing that I am going to touch on is the line that encapsulates server costs. Now, it is not just server costs. They throw a lot of other things in there and make it very difficult to figure how much servers cost for them. But It is the second highest cost besides salaries at $11.4 million. Now, that doesn't mean the servers cost $11.4 million. We can figure out that it's somewhere under $7 million because most of the back-end guys and the guys who are doing the publishing and basically the jobs that will always persist when the game is live is marketing, community, servers, back-end, publishing. These guys are always going to be there, and not so much ship artists maybe, or character artists or environment artists as much, right? So the reason I care about this is because if we want this game to be great, I personally feel the selling of ships is really detrimental for the game's overall health, and these high costs will make it so they may never end up not selling spaceships. And I think that there's some solutions to the problem of selling spaceships to make them not so overpowered, make it not so pay to win in a way. And I don't like using pay to win necessarily, but I will always use the example that WTFosaurus, or now Saurus, has had in the past, and he brought it to an Answer the Call. I'll leave a link up here if you guys want to check that show out as well. Was that, you see an 890 jump, it should be a grand achievement, and because you're able to buy it, it just doesn't have that same effect. So yeah, I always touch on that. It did rise from, I think it was 9 million last year to 11.4 million this year, and this was 2019, and we had a major amount of increased playtime in 2020. How much is it going to cost this year? So very much looking forward to the 2020 financials in 2021. And guys, I'm going to leave you there with that. I will say this. I appreciate everyone that has watched, everyone that has subscribed. Thank you so much for supporting me in my journey as a content creator. And I will say this. Starting January 1st, 2021, I am going to open up memberships on YouTube for you guys to support the channel here. I don't feel that great about it, and I will not be providing you any exclusive content. I still have a job. That job pays the majority of my expenses, and I will tell you that since March 15th, 2020, when I was furloughed from my job, I really found my passion and love for content creation, and I really want to do it full time, but I am not going to rush it. The option is going to be there. If you guys are enjoying the videos and want to support, you are more than welcome to. A lot of people ask, hey, how can I support your YouTube channel? How can I support your YouTube channel? All the time. And I always tell them, go to my Twitch. So I'm just making it a little bit simpler for you guys, is basically all it is. But again, because I have that job and I can't dedicate as much time to it just yet, no exclusive content there. It's literally just an option for you guys. And I appreciate it if you do, but more importantly, I appreciate everybody who watches, hangs out, subscribes, and is just a part of our community. So if you haven't yet, make sure, check out my Discord, stop on my Twitch channel and say hello. And that's going to do it for this video, guys. I really appreciate you guys watching. I really hope you have a wonderful new year, and I will see you guys next year.